My husband, Matt, and I tried for 3 years to get pregnant at the beginning of our marriage. And that was a very, very hard season of just constantly getting your hopes up, and then every month them just crashing down, and trusting on the Lord and holding on to the word and the faithfulness of God, and all of your friends having babies and you're not, and you're just trying to process it all. But we finally got pregnant after 3 years of trying. And it was such a wonderful, rejoicing season, and just so excited. I will never forget. We see the pregnancy test. My husband's running around the house, literally, like we were just so excited. But 11 weeks into that pregnancy, I started noticing some signs. And I remember, Googling so many things of like, and people were like, maybe it's twins, and maybe it's this, and maybe your body's doing this. There's a couple days of just like, I think this is what's happening, and I was denying it. And then when the moment actually came that we lost the baby, there was no greater fear than I had ever faced in my life. It was the most real, tangible fear that I had ever experienced, and still to this day I've ever experienced. It felt like fear was a person in the room with me, and it was so real and so scary, and I had so many questions, and I was completely out of control. I had no control over this situation. It was just a very, very dark and despairing, and so much questions, and trying to process it all, and where is God in this, and God giving you words, and then it was just so much to process. It felt like a very, very lonely season. And I remember Pastor Micah at the ramp, he started a sermon series called Hope and Let Hope In. And I was sitting there, it was a Wednesday night, and I remember exactly where I was in the ramp, where I was sitting. And I was listening to this sermon of letting hope in. And I remember I was having this inner dialogue with the Lord through the whole sermon. I'm exhausted. And God, I cannot do this anymore. And I'm done. And if you're going to want me to let hope in, you're going to have to give me the hope. And I remember him just kind of in that dialogue I was having of him saying, Emma, you have some hope. Just give it to me. And us back and forth. And I remember I kind of made up in my mind, okay, God, I will let hope in again. The little bit that I have, the tiny bit of hope that I have left, I will give it to you. But I need you to meet me here because I have nothing else. I mean, and it was almost to the exact second I had that thought in my mind. One of our good friends that was sitting on the end of the row, she comes up to me and she says, the Lord just gave me a word for you. And the word was all about getting pregnant and becoming a mother. And it's like that moment, it's almost I don't even fully remember the word because I was so caught up in, wow, God, you heard me and you are so faithful. That weekend, we got pregnant with our first son, Finley. And it felt like such a crazy miracle to just see the despair and the trying and the questions and then the little bit of glimmer of hope, and then it's crashing down again, and me having this encounter with the Lord on a Wednesday night, and then that weekend us getting pregnant. And he was just so faithful. So now, almost 12 years later, the Lord has blessed us with 4 beautiful boys with so much energy. And I had very, very healthy pregnancies. And the Lord taught me so much through all of that, through that season of believing with him and getting pregnant and surprise pregnancies and all the things. And so I just want to encourage you today, if you are believing for something that seems impossible, and maybe you've been believing for years and years, and maybe you've even gotten doctor's reports that say the complete opposite of what you're believing for. Or maybe you felt like you've had something and then it just crashed and burned and you have no hope left. I just want to encourage you today to let hope in, to open your heart again, and the Lord will meet you there. He will always meet you there. He is so faithful. I have seen the goodness of the Lord, and he will be faithful to you as well.